Hello. Sorry, my YouTube side wasn't coming up. So, how are you all today? It's good to see you. Thank you for the thumbs up already. I haven't sent out invites yet, but I will. Give me just a second. If you want to come up, let me know. If you've got a question about your dog or, dog training in general or, whatever, let me know. Hey, Ganna, good to see you. Hey, Dipper. Hey, Christy. Hello, Gaffa. Oh, it's a raid. Ron. Hey, Seth. Thank you, Raiders. Good to see you. I haven't even started yet, and I got a raid. That's pretty awesome. Thank you for coming in, guys. I appreciate it. Oops. How's everybody doing today? Hey, Nancy. I don't actually have a specific dog topic in mind. And so I'm basically leaving it open if anybody has questions about training their dogs or dog behavior or, why does my dog do that? Ask your question. You can come up on panel or type it in the chat. If I don't know the answer, I have a couple great resources. I can look it up real fast and find you an answer. So oh, Ganna, you're quarantined for 2 weeks, huh? That's not about dog behavior, Gaffa. Hey, Elton. Thank you much for the raid, people. I appreciate it very much. That sucks, Gamma, but at least now you're 2 weeks closer to seeing him. So I hope it goes fast for you. Hey, Seth, good to see you. Hey, guys, if you weren't at Seth's live stream yesterday, go to his channel and check it out. He did a really good job. It was his first ever live stream, and we had a really good time. So go check him out. Oh, my God, Gaffa. Cesar Millan doesn't actually cover that topic. If anybody wants up, I've sent out some invites, but if anybody else wants to come up, you're more than welcome. I have a feeling this will dissolve really fast. I can already see it trying to. As with Ganna's comment there to Gaffa. Well, Elton, do you walk well on a slip lead? Hey, Donna. What's the matter, Chloe? Come here. Come here. Chloe. Come here. Come here. Come here. Hi. Show your pretty face. Oh, yeah. I was ignoring her for a while because I was making cigarettes, so now she figures it's a good time to cuddle.
Well, apparently nobody else wanted to come up yet. And Ghana, sorry, but just so you know, everybody, peanut butter doesn't work.
Why would you want to artificially inseminate a husky anyway? They're so hyper and needy. I mean,
exactly. That's why you'd have to do it, because they just won't sit still long enough for anyone else to do it. The natural occurrences aren't. Well, just, just in case. There's always questions people have that they're just afraid to ask. And that would seem like one of them.
I like my naturally occurring mutt that's laying on me right here.
Come on, folks. There's got to be at least some doggy question we've got to ask before this live stream goes really down the toilet, all right?
I think it already has, but that's okay.
Well, no, that's a genuine question. Elton? Seriously, Elton? Has Elton got a wrench? Because I need to time him out just a little bit.
Hello, David. Hello, Donna. I don't remember if I said hello to you or not.
Oh, hello, David. How are you, sir? You'll have to excuse Dave Lopez, Susan. He's fallen asleep. He fell asleep on Christie's live stream. That's how interesting it was. He was sitting there and he just dozed off. We poked him a few times, but he just turned over.
I sent a link to Cindy. She always has some really good questions for me when I do an open one like this.
So I have a question for you.
Okay.
You've just got yourself a stray. You've decided to go animal rescue and pick up a dog that you thought was rather interesting and something you'd like to own, yet it's not house trained.
Okay.
How do you go about getting the dog to be house trained? Because everyone knows an unhouse trained dog doesn't get to spend as much time with the family as a house trained one does.
Well, it doesn't matter the age of the dog. You start out with it just like you would a brand new puppy that you were house training. You start out by first showing it the door, showing it how you want it to let you know it wants to go out, such as scratching at the door or ringing a bell hanging on the door or barking or whatever you want it to do. Show it the yard and then walk it around the yard and just don't have a lot of interaction. Just let the dog sniff and then it'll naturally, eventually, if you're out there long enough, it will go on its own. And the second it does, praise it, give it treats, really yummy treats like sausages, hot dogs, things like that. And hold on. Yeah, somebody
Hold on.
And then
boob shot.
You just basically every time, like, so that's kind of your first introduction to the dog of, what you want it to do. You definitely praise it for going to the bathroom outside. And after it's done its business, go inside. And then about every hour, or you might find the dog needs it more depending on the age of the dog, just go through the whole routine again, take the dog outside, and after it's done its business, don't have a lot of interaction, just encourage it to walk around and do what it needs to do. And the second it does what it you want it to do, lots of good yummy treats, lots of praise. And then in the meantime, while you're doing that, if the dog does have an accident in the house, don't spank it, don't scold it. The dog's not going to know what you're talking about because it probably went 20 minutes ago and then you saw it. Or even if you catch it in the act, don't be screaming at it and stuff. Just pick the dog up, take it outside, and that'll probably stop it from going. And it'll finish when you get it outside in the yard. And the second it does its business out in the yard, more treats, more praise. So the dog will figure out really fast, oh, outside makes it a good thing. Inside, nothing good happens. Nothing happens other than I get taken outside. So an older dog, it'll actually take a much shorter amount of time to potty train than a puppy. Puppies aren't potty trained generally real reliably until they're a year old. But if you have a dog that's older than a year and it just needs to be shown what to do, then you're talking a matter of weeks or less, depending on how quick the dog picks it up. And I personally don't recommend puppy pads because all you're doing is teaching the dog it's okay to go inside, unless that's what you want. I mean, if you for convenience or whatever, if you want a spot where your dog goes on a puppy pad, then you can teach it that. That's your choice. But so.
Yeah. Sorry. I just had Nancy do something during that. So I did hear suggestions to people that if the dog makes a mess and you aren't able to catch it in it, or you come across it afterwards, because you're not keeping an eye on the dog 24/7, and the dog does need to go to the toilet occasionally, and it does do it inside. People have mentioned that you punish the action by yelling at the product, not the dog. So the dog thinks that. No, I'm serious. This is what I can't remember where I got this. That someone said it before, but if you make a big deal by yelling at the finished product and cursing or punishing or talking to it in a way that says that's not the right thing to be doing sitting there, or whatever, and the dog will sit there cocking its head looking at you, say, this person gone crazy. They start to realise that, hold on, I don't want my business to be yelled at, so I better not do it there anymore type thing. I don't know. It's weird psychology, anyone thought of doing that. So
it's an interesting concept. I mean, you could always give it a try if you're having trouble or if you just feel like yelling at poop, but
well, yeah, I mean, it in my experience, no matter how patient and how tolerant you are with training an old dog, their habits of doing it in a particular corner of the room or whatever takes a lot to get out of, because they did it for so long wherever it is that they were.
Well, a really important part to stopping the dog from going where it's made a habit of going is to clean the area with like an enzyme cleaner that actually goes in and gets out not just the stain, but the actual smell of the urine or the poop. So they make pet enzyme cleaners that are specifically for getting pet smells out of carpets and wood floors and all that. And if you can actually use an enzyme cleaner, get the smell out, and then even top it off with like vinegar so that the
Actually,
dog goes there and smells it and they back off because, oh, I don't like that smell. That will discourage them from going there, and they're more apt to go where you want them to go.
so as a cat owner, folks, I can highly recommend just using white vinegar to thoroughly clean the area before you wash the floor, because that will remove not only the smell, but also with cats, the ammonia smell, which cats really like to associate with going to the toilet. So yeah, expensive enzymes are great; they're absolutely brilliant. But if all you can do is afford a very, very minor thing, at least white vinegar to soak the area or wash the area that it's in before you do the actual washing.
And if you
Good
add
shit. Good
baking
shit.
soda to the vinegar, it takes the smell out even more. It's kind of a nice topper to the vinegar if you can add baking soda to it. It bubbles up and it, you know, it'll actually create an aroma in the air. But then once you get it all cleaned up, there's no smell anywhere, and the animals tend not to go back to that spot.
Hi, Christy. And just so you know, folks, if you have a dog who literally believes that every time it goes to the toilet it smells like roses, so it just keeps going there and going, oh, what a wonderful. It's not the. Just make sure the dog knows it's not your that's doing it. It's my cleaning that's making it smell like roses.
Now, if you have a dog that like just consistently marks in the house, which is different than peeing, that's an issue that needs to be addressed either through, well, neutering is always a good thing because that generally stops a lot of the urge to mark. And then also,
Wave.
you know, that's a case where if the dog lifts its leg to your furniture or something and it's, you know, it's a marking action, that's where you would give it a correction. In a case where you're dealing with a dog that you're trying to train not to mark, you would probably have a house leash on it, and then you could just give a little tug on the leash and do a sound or a no, a really sharp no or something like that, where the dog knows you're displeased. And it's not that the dog has to pee, it's just the dog doing what it instinctually wants to do and it's marking its territory. And you are just teaching it, no, you don't mark in my house. This is my territory. So that's a different issue than peeing, but it's so it's addressed a little differently, but it's you have to kind of learn the difference between when your dog is taking a leak and when it's marking. So if it's a male. And females will mark too. So
Yeah, well, my cats do the marking actions. They don't actually mark. I wouldn't dare. I'm telling you, they wouldn't. But they will do the odor excretion. They don't actually. Nothing physically comes out that we have to keep washing off, but they do the wiggling of the tail and the aiming and all that kind of stuff, which is like a habit thing. But they only friggin' will do it inside the house, which really annoys me. If it did it more outside and actually squirted outside, more cats wouldn't come around and annoy the Jesus out of you. But yeah, anyway. So
hi, Nancy.
the other thing you need to remember, folks, on that point is if a dog is marking the territory in which you live, it is a hierarchy thing.
Yes.
And you need to assert dominance back on the dog, and they will reduce their marking in the house and more than likely increase it in the outside of the house because that's back to where their domain is.
Exactly.
And dogs need to mark. I don't give a shit what everyone says. They need to. It's just the way they tell other dogs where their territory is. But if the pecking order in your house is so much that the dog feels comfortable actually doing it inside, then maybe you need to put the dog back into its position in the family.
Yep. You
in
need
its
to
mind.
step up and become the pack leader again. That's definitely a sign that
it's not just you that needs to step up. Other people in the family need to remind the dog that the dog isn't as high in the pack order as it thinks it is.
Exactly.
Right. And there is one way to stop the dogs from going to a certain spot, especially if you don't want them there. You can go to your local pet store and get what they call sour green apple spray.
Oh, yep.
Dogs and cats absolutely hate that stuff.
No,
It depends on the dog.
Cats don't.
It
Cats
depends.
don't.
Yeah, cats love it. Well, a lot of cats that I've seen love it.
Oh, really? Because I
And-
had a cat that hated it. Oh,
And my bestie,
bitter.
her one dog, you spray that on something to get him to not chew on it, and he will go and lick it to death,
Oh my god.
and then chew
Actually,
it after the scent is off. So
if just so you know, folks, if you've got cats, not that this is a cat talking stream, but if you've got cats, I found the best way to stop cats from doing something, pretty well anything you don't want them to do in your house, like sleeping on a certain spot or squirting or whatever, a spray bottle with water in it.
Yep, they hate that. I was just gonna say that.
When
bottle
they're
with
doing
water.
and you actually have to catch them doing, you can't use a spray bottle just for a bit of fun, but if you actually have the cat doing something you don't want it to do, you spray it with water at the time it's doing it, and it, after about 2 or 3 times, it thinks twice about doing that again,
oh yeah,
because they don't like being. And if you put a touch of vinegar in the water, all cats will try and lick themselves off, and then they'll taste the vinegar and go, yeah, I don't want to know about that.
you just
I
have
won't
to
be
be
doing that.
careful if you put vinegar in it that you don't
It's
spray 'em in the face.
yeah, but the slightest little drop, it only has to give the flavour without actually having the acidity or anything
Okay,
else.
yeah,
And just to give them, because they've got very, very sensitive taste. Take my word for cats,
yeah,
can taste almost anything. And if they get the slightest little taste of vinegar in their mouth, they think twice about what it is they're doing, because they don't want to have to sit there and wash themselves with all that over.
yeah. And dogs, it depends on the dog. A lot of larger breed dogs love water, and you can spray them with water all day long, and they'll try to catch it, so it becomes
Oh
a.
yeah.
But
9 times out of 10, most dogs love to play with water. The little ones, if they've never had it before, might actually balk at water because it's not something they do normally. But most dogs, you put the sprinkler on, they'll go play with it.
my Maltese that I used to have, he hated water. I mean, he hated everything to do with water other than drinking it. And so all I had to do was pull out the spray bottle that I trained my cats with, because I used it on him the same way I did on the cats. And yeah, he would quit whatever he was doing immediately. It got to the point where I could just make the sound of the spray bottle and he would stop and look at me. So would my cat. So that was a very effective deterrent for him too. So
I got two sounds my cat don't like when they do something wrong now, because it sounds I trained them to understand. First one is I just go, oi, and they get up and they go and they walk off as if say, it wasn't me. I didn't do nothing, not me. And the other one is I make a ticking sound, and whenever I make a ticking sound, they think I need them to come and say hello to me, because when they were babies, that's all I ever did when I called them was tick, 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 tick.
huh.
And now whenever they hear that, they feel relaxed and comfortable, and they're able to, whatever stress they were going through from other cats or outside or whatever, they calm down and they come up and say hello.
Right on.
Yeah.
My cats spend very little time inside these days because of my daughter. We decided when my daughter was born and moved into the house, the cats were to be pushed outside.
Yeah.
And it took them a little while to understand what the hell they did to want to be outside. But unfortunately, my cats are that affectionate that they would have had slept in her room in her cot.
Yeah.
And that's not something we wanted to encourage. So we thought, well, let's find to separate the cats from her. She grew up really, really happy. She's now starting to get comfortable with the cats around because she's getting to interact with them, and she's a hell of a lot taller.
Yeah.
So it's just making her feel comfortable, and the cats are now in their routine of outside in the daytime, inside at night. So
Yeah. Joshua, how big is your dog and how little bit of chocolate did it eat?
And how long ago?
That's a good question. And welcome, Brother Daggett. Resource guarding. Now, this is not my thoughts. These are things I've gotten from Caesar Milan. Hello, gamer. As far as, like, say food, for instance, if you've got one dog guarding the food, basically use your body, step between the dog and the food, give it a sound or whatever you use as a correction sound for the dog, whether it's a no or a, whatever, and then direct it to go lay down in its spot, whether it's a bed or on the couch or whatever its designated place is. And that allows the other dog to come in and eat, do what it needs to do. And it also basically puts you as the one that owns the resource. You own the food and you designate who gets to eat when. If you've only got one, say for example, food, you've only got one bowl, you may want to get another bowl and teach them which bowl is theirs. And that will stop the resource garden, because then they have their own bowl, their own food. And, then it's not as much of an issue.
Yeah, never, even when it's cats or whatever, I found it's very, very, very beneficial if you do not stick to one bowl for the lot of them. Give them their individual spots. They have individual spots to go to the toilet. They have individual spots that they prefer to sleep. That cats and dogs have individuality that they prefer to have in their lives, which isn't a bad thing. But to make one be territorial about things that got nothing to do with them, which animals do, it's just the way life is. We do it, they do it.
Yeah.
To have separate bowls and separate spots and all that kind of stuff for them is a beneficial thing. If one decides that I want to take over that, yes, you need to be the one that controls that situation by being the dominance. In nature and in pack order, that will be a normal thing that gets done. The pack leader decides which one should get first dibs and which one shouldn't get first dibs and all that kind of stuff. And there is a pecking order that he decides on, or she, it's even a she, decides on in their group, and they all learn to fit within that pecking order and stay within it, even though that pecking order has been known to change on regular occasions.
Yes.
So that's it, as I said, to benefit your low stress level and the ease of making everything fine. Once the dog has a bowl that it knows it is, and that bowl's in the same position, they don't argue with food. They don't dominate each other's food, because they know damn well that they've got their own bowl and they don't have to worry about anything.
He asks, what about bones? Now, I deal with that with my two dogs. My bigger dog likes to steal my little dog's bones and stuff like that. That's where I, as the human, and my husband, we've had to step in, and I always buy 2 bones or, 2 of whatever. And we keep an eye on, especially on the littler dog and his bone. And if the big one comes in and even gets her nose close, and she knows to back off, and she goes and finds hers. And if she's buried it somewhere, that's her problem. Then she doesn't have it, So in the house, if, okay, here's a good one. I have a snuffle mat, which is this thing right here. You put treats inside of it, and the dog has to sniff around and dig into the felt pieces to get the treats.
Right.
Chloe, my bigger dog, pretty much claimed that as hers. And when I had both dogs on it at the same time, she started growling at Spike and baring her teeth at him. I immediately stepped in. I went like that, directed her to go to the couch. She went up on the couch, and that way I told her, nope, this is not yours. It's mine, and I'm the one that gets to decide who gets to eat from it and when. And I let Spike have his turn, and then I directed him up, and I gave her her turn. So, I'm not letting him do it at the same time now, just to not have that problem. But she knows that I'm the boss. So you have to step in and make sure your dog knows that this is my bone and I'm letting you chew on it, basically. You may have to teach your dog drop it or leave it if he gets aggressive, or if he guards that resource from you. You will have to do some training with him to teach him to drop it on command, so that you're not risking life and limb to get a bone away from your dog, or to get something dangerous away from your dog if you need to. That's always a good command to teach a dog. But it's definitely something where you as the human need to step up as the pack leader and make sure your dog knows these are my resources and I'm letting you have them. But they're always mine. So I often go in, like when my dogs are eating, and I just pick up their food for a little bit, and they sit and look at me and wait, and then I put their food back down. And all it is a little quick reminder that this is my food and I'm letting you eat it. And it's not to be mean, it's just to teach the dog where they are in the pack. So that would be my best answer to that. If you want the man to tell you, go to CaesarsWay.com, and you can actually type that in. There's a little search bar right there on the page, and you can type in resource guarding, and there a couple articles will come up from Cesar Millan, and he's got some really great, probably a better way to explain it than I do. But that's where I've gotten all of the ways that I do it is from Cesar Millan. So that was a very excellent question.
So far, folks, all I'm hearing mostly from Susan in answer to the question is you need to be pack leader, otherwise you have no control.
Right.
Absolutely. That really is. I mean, and to start out being a pack leader, you establish rules, boundaries, and limitations for your dog. That's,
Yes, exactly.
that's the basis of it. It's just like with a kid. You wouldn't let a kid you wouldn't let your kid run up to company that they don't know and jump all over them. Why would you?
Have you met that many kids? I tell you, some parents out there ought to be shot. Anyway, just want to reiterate on what Donna did say. We are not trained veterinarians. We are not experienced dog trainers. We are owners with experience.
Yes. Yeah.
And all we are
And
doing
also-
is putting that experience out there, giving everybody an idea. And as Susan keeps reiterating, Cesar Millan.
Cesar Millan is where I get my method of training from. So,
Okay.
and
Hey, Susan,
if you all are interested in learning from more people, I do have a Facebook group, and I can put more information about that. We've got like 14.5K members, and I had something really exciting happen this last week. One of Cesar's head trainers actually joined my group and started posting some really cool videos and some really good information. So, but that's a really good resource because there's a lot of people that watch Cesar very religiously, and they know even more than I do. And my head mod is just amazing, gives the best information. So
she is just Cesar is just so phenomenal in what she does.
And just one little thing I need to help folks, even on Susan's Facebook page, it is people's experience that you're taking information away from.
Yes.
That doesn't mean everything in there is exactly what you should be trying and you should be expecting exactly the same result as everybody else, but generally the experience that people are having are very similar to each other, and the results are coming out to be very similar together. If correctly done, things are that way.
Exactly.
And to those people who think are thinking to themselves out there, yes, folks, this will work for most pets that have this similar thing like cats and dogs and possibly ferrets, and kids. It will work with kids. You walk a spray bottle around and make funny noises at kids, I guarantee they will start behaving themselves after you do a few things.
Well, one of the main things that Cesar teaches is that a lot of, I mean, he always says that he trains people and rehabilitates dogs. He trains you how to be calm and assertive and how to deal with your dog on a little more of a psychological level. He's more of a behaviorist than a trainer. And so, he actually gets into the psychology of dogs. And I'll tell you, for me, I had a Maltese, was 3 years old, and I was ready to get rid of him, which purebred Maltese. Why would you want to get rid of that, right? He was out of control. I saw 1 half-hour episode of Cesar Millan. It clicked in my head completely. I completely did a 180 with how I was training and raising my dog. And within a week, my dog had done that same 180, and we became a team, and we were buddies, and it was amazing. It just completely changed the way I worked with my dog and the way my dog reacted to me. And I discovered that using Cesar's techniques, I could actually work with other people's dogs and get the same results. And every dog I've had since then, I have done the same things. And even Chloe, who came from a horrible situation where she was severely abused and neglected, she has done that 180. It's taken her longer, but she's done it, and she's still improving. And so, yeah, I would definitely encourage you, if you've got issues with your dog or you just want to check it out. I mean, Cesar's got tons of videos on YouTube. So.
And I'm sitting here with a very over affectionate cat.
Lisa, hang on. Let me check my messages. I think she did. I think I responded to her.
Now, Susan, have you ever had to deal with cleaning a dog's ears? When I had a dog last years and years ago, I had a dog where I had to constantly clean his ears, because if you didn't clean those ears, the odor from the ears would be so bad you couldn't even stand it.
Yeah.
I would have to practically sit on that dog to be able to clean its ears. So how do you deal with something like that when you got to do it? Dog has a choice. How do you get the dog accustomed to that?
There's a couple things. Lisa, no, she didn't get a hold of me. I thought she did, but then I looked back and no, she hadn't. So not yet.
No, don't shoot my yarn. No.
Cleaning ears, that if ideally you start out with a puppy or a very young dog, and every day you get it used to being touched, having its paws examined so that you can get it used to nail clipping. You check its ears, you wipe out its ears with a cotton ball every day so that it gets used to having its ears cleaned, so that when you need to do it, the dog doesn't fight you. Now, if that's not what happens, if you don't get the dog as a puppy and can't start out like that, then, or if you just don't know that and all of a sudden your dog is 3 years old and needs its ears cleaned, then it becomes a matter of, it might take you 3 or 4 hours to do this, but you start out with whatever your cleaning supplies are, and you have them all ready, and have a bunch of really good treats that you don't normally give the dog, like sausages, hot dogs, cheese, something really smelly that's going to just attract the dog's nose. And you're really going to work with the dog's nose on this. And you don't need big pieces. I mean, tiny, tiny pieces, so that you've got a lot of them. And the first thing you do is you have the dog smell it, so that it gets that scent in its nose and realizes what you've got. And then you let it taste it. And then you just start massaging the dog's ear, just with your hand. And at the same time you massage, you give it a treat. And it might pull away from the massage if it's not used to you doing that. But as it sits there, the longer it lets you do it, then it gets more treats. Then you introduce like the cotton swab or the cotton ball and the cleaning solution. And it's going to be cold, and the dog is probably going to jump back. Just kind of keep with the dog. And you might have to have a little bit of a hold on one side, but it should be relaxed enough to like hang out and wait for those treats, and just entice it back to you with the treat. Use the dog's nose, and then just keep working on the ear as gently as you can. You might not get it totally clean. You might only get 2 swipes in, and then the dog is done, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Because all you're doing is introducing this concept that this isn't going to hurt the dog, and it's going to get treats that are really yummy. Now, only use these treats for this exercise. Wait about an hour, come back, go through the whole process again, and you might get 3 or 4 swipes in with the cotton ball.
Right.
But each time you do it, and do it throughout the day, so the dog understands this is going to happen, and eventually he'll just surrender to it because this is just going on throughout the day.
Right.
But it's always accompanied by those yummy treats, and pretty soon he'll see that the cotton balls and the cleaning solution sitting out along with the treats, and he'll be like, okay, I'm going to sit still for this. Might take a couple days, but
Right. 'Cause
generally
this was a year-old puppy, but it was one of those bigger dogs. It was a bull mastiff.
oh goodness, at a year old, those are huge.
Huge. And you got to clean their ears. It's just a downfall of having that kind of dog.
Mhm.
You have to clean their ears all the time.
Yep.
And so every time I would get in there with the cotton swab or what have you and start cleaning it out, and then he goes,
Yep.
I'm
Well,
like,
they
no.
they do have a natural reaction to shake their head whenever there's anything in their ears.
Yeah.
But you can teach them to shake on purpose, and you can teach them to hold back that response for a little bit, not long,
Right.
but you can actually tell them to wait, because you kind of see them wind up and you say, wait. And
Wait.
because like my Maltese, I always had to clean his ear. And I could get him to wait for about 30 seconds, and then I'd be done by that time, and then he could shake all he wanted. But
Right.
it's also handy in the tub, because I'd get him all clean, and then I'd say, wait, because he'd start to wind up, and I'd say, wait, and then I'd back up, and then I'd say, okay, shake, and then he'd shake, and I would be out of the way.
Right.
So,
Yeah, but this dog was such a good boy too. He was such a good boy, but it's just that he hated having his ears cleaned, and
No,
it had to happen or else, or we just couldn't be around them
yep.
because the odor is so bad because it radiates throughout their whole skin and.
Yep. Thank you, Brother Daggett. I
But
appreciate
I thought I would bring
Susan.
that up. But I thought I would bring that up because every person goes through that with their dog.
Oh yeah, and cats too. You have to clean cats' ears a lot of times, and it's the same concept with cats. You use their nose, find something like cheddar cheese, and you can get shredded cheese, and literally just use 1 shred at a time to treat a dog or a cat. That's what I do with Chloe and Spike, 1 shred at a time, and they will do anything for that.
or
So-
even that little package of temptations.
Yep.
One little nugget at a time. One little nugget.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we think about my new slushy cup.
Nice. Bubba's a good brand.
Mm-hmm.
And Donna says you got to learn patience when it comes with animals, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what I
Yeah.
like about Caesar's, the way he trains and the way he teaches humans, is he teaches that patience, and he teaches you how to calm yourself and find that confidence so that you have the patience even when your dog isn't quite doing what you want it to do, that you can just hang in there and teach that dog, so
Right.
And plus, he's really consistent. That's one thing I really like about him is that he gives the same consistency no matter what he is doing, and it's consistent, and then it's a good, strong, even secure message for the
Absolutely.
animals.
Consistency is a key when you're training a dog. I mean, if you're not consistent, the dog gets confused and has no idea what you're doing. So
Even with children, no matter what you're doing, children, cats, dogs,
Mm.
it doesn't matter as long as you're consistent.
I
At first when I started cleaning the dog's ears, and he saw the cotton and the stuff in my hands, and instantly, whew,
oh yeah,
I'm
take
out.
out running, like, oh no, you're not. You got to catch me first if you want to do it.
Yep,
I'm like, come back here, you blasted dog.
I personally, this is just my opinion. I think that people should be required to raise a dog for like 5 years successfully. I mean, train it, have it be well behaved, not just own a dog and throw it out in the yard on a chain. I mean, but literally have a well behaved dog that can literally pass like a good citizenship test or something. I mean, before they're allowed to have children. I really think that we should have something that says you cannot have children until you can raise a dog successfully.
Right.
Don, you're also gonna learn patience when it comes down to husbands too. Susan can relate with that one. Same training technique.
If I had seen Cesar Millan back when I was having my kids, because I was 19 when my son was born, I would have learned so much and been much more successful at raising my kids. I mean, because I know how quickly his techniques changed me with my dog. So I know that it would have, made a difference with my kids. Okay, Lisa, hopefully she will.
Okay, hi, Hiccup. What you need, baby? They decided today's the day to love mommy. No Dobby over here. Oh, good news about that Amber Alert. The kids, all 4 of them, are safe.
Oh, good. That's good.
Hey, beautiful Lisa.
Hey, Lisa. Good to see you here.
And so if any of you guys are interested in checking out the Facebook group, it is called Dog Whisperer Cesar Millan Training Method Discussion Group. Why I named it something so long, I have no idea, but I guess I never thought I would be trying to say it out loud or have as many members as I do. It's kind of crazy, but it's if you go in, you can just type Cesar Millan into Facebook and scroll down and you'll see it. So, and there's a lot of Cesar Millan groups. We are the only Cesar Millan group that actually moderates chat and moderates what people actually put in. We don't allow bad information to go through. We don't allow, like people have been trying to put up pictures of like dog fighting and stuff. We don't allow that. We have some pretty strict rules about what we allow. It is all about dog training. We don't talk about medical stuff because we're not veterinarians. We just say you need to go to your veterinarian and shut off commenting and basically go there. So
another thing I had trouble with when I had dogs, especially my dog Misty, she was a border collie.
Okay.
And she hated taking medication like pills. I always had to hide it either in peanut butter or crush it, put it in peanut butter or wrap it in a piece of meat or cheese or whatever. How do you deal with giving a dog medication without having to give them what is terrible for them to have?
Well, cheese is not bad for dogs in small amounts. Like raw hamburger is excellent for dogs. There's nothing wrong with that. With my Maltese, I used to take, if I had to give him pills of any kind, I'd put it in raw hamburger and down the gullet it would go. Yogurt, like if it's something that can be opened and sprinkled, like if it's a powder or like little tiny beads or something,
right?
Like yogurt or peanut butter, and they'll lap it right up. Any vet will tell you that is probably the best way to
Only thing is Misty was smart. She could actually smell the medication in the food. And she would lick around it and leave the pill far behind. And I'm like, you son of a little you know.
They actually
What do you do when they do that? I mean, it's
they
just,
have a product called Pill Pockets, and it's a really strong smelling. It's like it's almost like if you've ever smelled bacon strips, which basically smell like bacon. I mean, they're like, wow, you know. These things are really strong smelling like that, and it's actually a little treat about yay big with a pocket, and you tuck the pill inside the pocket and give the treat to the dog. 9 times out of 10, they're going to gulp it down because that smell is so strong they can't smell the medicine over the treat. So that one I know works really well. It's worked with my dogs, but they are a bit expensive. So if you have to give a lot of pills, you know, a peanut butter tends to work pretty good, because if you put the pill in a glob of peanut butter and then swipe it on the roof of their mouth, they can't spit it out because it's stuck in the peanut butter, so everything goes down.
Susan, can I do my mod duty and post the address of your group in chat?
Absolutely, sure.
I know, right, Lisa?
I need to do my job here.
Sometimes dogs just try to outsmart us, and they're like, "Yeah, we know what you're trying to do. We're just gonna look around it." And
Well, it's actually instinct for dogs to eat around something that smells a little off so they don't get sick. In the wild, it's their sense of smell that keeps them alive.
right.
So it's a very natural thing. That's why we have to come up with stronger smelling things to hide their medicine in.
Wow. But I know people have had that problem off and on with trying to give their dogs medication, and it's like, how in the heck do you get it down them? Because it's like they outsmart you. They'll eat around it, or they'll take the whole thing in and then spit it out.
Yep.
There you go. I posted the
Dreams. Dreams just posted the address to the group if you want to check it out. If you decide you want to become a member, you have to answer some questions. I think it's 4 questions, and then another question that asks if you're willing to follow the group rules. So if you don't answer all those, you will automatically be rejected. I don't have any control over that. It just automatically, it's set to do that because we get so many requests every day. But if you answer everything, you'll be approved, unless you put in some answer that says, no, I'm a terrorist and I'm going to be a bitch in your group or something, you know, then we'll reject you. But,
right.
But yeah, another way you can give dogs medication, some dogs will, you know, tolerate it, is if you just basically grab their top jaw and kind of pull up, and they will automatically open their mouth, and you just drop the pill down their throat and poke it down a little bit, and they will swallow. Some dogs will figure that out like the first time you do it, and there will be no second time. Some dogs will just let you do it. It depends on the dog. So that's why we, you know, go to all these lengths to hide it in peanut butter and yogurt and cheese and pill pockets and all that shit, you know. So
Right.
Gotta be extra creative for your smart little critters.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw somebody trying to give a cat a pill before, because they had a cat that was that had seizures, you know, that was epileptic, and she would open up her mouth. She would open up this cat's mouth, and this is on a cam I was watching. But she would open up the cat's mouth and then just stuff the pill down the cat's throat. And I'm sitting there going, oh, I was like, is there any gentler way to do that? I mean,
cats, if you put it in their food, they will not eat it. We had a cat that had leukemia, and he had to take a pill every day, and my mom had to pry his mouth open and poke the pill down his throat every day.
And the cat would push away from her, and
Yep.
try to squirm and get away. And I'm like going, oh, what a battle just to give a cat a pill.
But when that pill is what keeps your cat alive until he goes into remission from the leukemia, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Sounds like you have to suit up in an astronaut suit to give your
I
cat
know.
a pill.
I know. He's like, oh,
Get used to it after a while, but
such a
I
battle.
remember a long time ago at my place before me moved in here. My one cat, I was able to walk. I was able to do whatever I could until now, but I was soaking my curtains in the tub with pine salt mixed with water. The cat was running through the house, tearing through the house, and the next thing I know, the cat was walking down the stairs, drenched.
oh geez.
The cat was
Happy
pissed
Easter,
off.
Chopper. Good to see you.
So I had to suit up.
Chopper!
It was 85 degrees in my house, and I was wearing a winter jacket to suit up to get my cat a bath.
Yep.
I had
You know
the
that
whole-
cats are the cleanest animals in the world. They don't need baths.
she had gotten into the pine salt when I was soaking my curtains. Because
Yeah.
my curtains were on that west side and they got sun damaged a lot. So I had to make sure that they stay clean. But she got into it. She was bouncing through everything else and she bounced into the tub and I was soaking my curtains. It
Yep.
was,
Yeah.
you have to be on a kamikaze mission to give your cat pills.
But I would watch this cat on cam every morning, and they had to give this cat a pill like every morning and every night.
That's a lot of dedication.
I would sit there and watch the struggle twice a day, and I'm just sitting there going, oh,
Yep.
boy, I tell you what.
Lisa, I used to have a cat named Angel. He was a big 18-pound Himalayan-looking rag doll. Hair
And you
about
named
that
him
long.
Angel.
Well, he was pure white when he was born, and my daughter decided, she was like 3.5, and decided that because he was all white, he needed to be named Angel. And I tell you, he was exactly the opposite of his name.
This cat I used to watch on cam, its name was Farah. An all white cat. Beautiful.
Wow.
It has since passed away, but yeah.
I used to have a cat that his name was Throgmorton, and he was a short-haired, long, lanky, yellow tiger striped cat. And he would get in the bathtub with me, and the first time he did it, he didn't mean to, but I had the water really nice and hot and everything, and he thought he could walk on the bubbles, and he tried to walk on the bubbles and landed face first in the water. And he just sat there neck deep in the water looking around, and I started petting him, and he just sat there, and I like, okay, dude, you're getting a bath, right on. But after that, every time I took a bath, he got in the tub with me. I've never had a cat do that. I can't explain it other than he was the weirdest cat I've ever had. So,
Oh boy.
but
in charge here.
anywho, well, we're at an hour, and we've had really good questions about dogs, and now we've delved into cats. And so I'm going to go ahead and end this stream. Thank you for your good questions, everybody. And
Everyone.
thank you for being here. I'm going to start another stream. Oh, hey, I'm live.
Now it's just telling you, right?
I just got the notice that I'm live. But I'm going to start up another stream just to hang out and BS. So please come back and join me. That'll be up in just a minute or two. So thank you, everybody. And we'll see you in a few minutes.
Okay, bye, everybody.
See
Bye,
ya.
everybody. Thank you for having me.
Yep.